KPKM denies increase in price of local white rice. Agreement to facilitate Felda's loan restructuring exercise guaranteed. Hello, good evening. Salam Malaysia Madani. You're watching Malaysia Tonight with me, Shuhaida Arifin. The Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security (KPKM) today denied that there has been an increase in the local price of local white rice as claimed by certain quarters. Its Deputy Minister Chan Foong Hin said the maximum price of local white rice at the consumer level was still controlled at a rate of RM2.60 per kilogram as stipulated in the provisions of the Control of Padi and Rice Act 1994 Act 522. He said the ministry had taken early preventive measures by setting the maximum price for the sale of local white rice at RM2,250 per metric ton at the factory level and RM2,540 per metric ton at the wholesale level for the past 2 weeks.
Untuk tempatan memang tidak pernah naik 26 ringgit untuk harga runcit untuk ini dan kamu berbanding apa yang you nampak di sana pun 26 25 dia offer lagi. So maksud dia tak ada isu kenaikan harga beras tempatan. Kita juga telah mengambil tindakan awal dengan membuat penetapan harga kawanan maksimal jualan beras putih tempatan di peringkat kilang juga dan juga borong sejak 2 minggu yang lalu.
He said this to reporters after conducting checks on the prices and supply of rice under Operasi Beras Putih (OPBP) in factories and supermarkets around Kajang today. Chan added the measures were to ensure that factories do not compete for raw materials by offering high prices so that the chain below comprising of wholesaler, retailers and consumers is not affected. It also ensures that there is a stable supply with reasonable prices and this intervention measure is temporary. An agreement with a government guarantee has been signed for the Federal Land Development Authority (FELDA) to restructure the agency's loan through the issuance of sukuk and revolving credit as part of the efforts to restore FELDA's financial position. Now, in a statement today, the Finance Ministry (MOF) said that a major part of the restructuring of FELDA's loan is to reduce the principal of FELDA's debt to financial institutions by RM7.9 billion. According to the ministry, the restructuring will also reduce FELDA's financial costs in terms of interest rates and enable FELDA to cancel 80% of the RM8.3 billion surplus debt implemented in 2021. It said the government guarantee is expected to stabilize FELDA's financial position and ensure a more sustainable business model so that FELDA will continue to be able to promote social mobility for settlers and FELDA's new generation. The government guarantee was signed by Prime Minister and Finance Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim. According to the statement, the government has agreed to provide a government guarantee to FELDA in 2019 to enable the agency to implement its redevelopment plan under the transformation program that began in 2020 for a period of 5 years. The ministry said the government has improved the management of the distribution of funds to FELDA as a state agency by appointing Amanah Raya trustees as the trustees for account transactions. MOF said this is to ensure that FELDA's transformation plan is on track and that accountability and integrity requirements are met. The slowing inflation to 2.8% in May reflects a continuing trend of increasing price stability. Economy Minister Rafizi Ramli said that the decline in inflation also indicates a comprehensive fall across all expenditure categories, signifying overall price stability. Commenting further on the matter, Rafizi said the stabilization of prices through sustained and comprehensive inflation reduction is part of the government's overall strategy to address the cost of living for people, aiming to alleviate burdens. According to the minister, the first strategy by the government was price stabilization to prevent sudden increases.
yang melibatkan penstabilan harga dan inflasi dan juga gaji progresif yang meningkatkan gaji secara berkala, itulah sebenarnya yang akan membantu rakyat dijangka sederhana dan panjang menangani kos sara hidup.
He said this during a press conference on May's Consumer Price Index CPI today. The decision made by the Hague Court of Appeal dismissing the Sulu claimant's application confirmed Malaysia's position that the sham arbitration should never have taken place. Minister in the Prime Minister's Department for Law and Institutional Reform, Datuk Seri Azalina Osman, said such an application was illegitimate from the start and that the purported final award is null and void. In a statement released today, the minister said the landmark judgment will likely render futile any further legitimate attempts by the claimants and their funders to enforce it in other jurisdiction. Yesterday, Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim announced the ruling by the Hague Court of Appeal in the Netherlands that dismissed the Sulu claimant's application for recognition and enforcement of a purported arbitral award of $14.9 billion to be enforced in the Netherlands. According to Datuk Seri Azalina, the Hague Court of Appeal's decision signified Malaysia's achievement in its ongoing legal challenge to deprive the enforcement of the purported award globally, which is a threat to the entire international arbitration system. Pulau Pinang, Terengganu and Kedah have officially dissolved their state assemblies today, paving the way for the state's election to be held soon. The dissolution of the 40-seat Pulau Pinang State Assembly takes place 35 days earlier than the originally scheduled end of the 5-year mandate on 2nd August. State Assembly Speaker Datuk Low Chew Kiang handed the official notification to Pulau Pinang Election Commission Director Dr. Siti Nazaria Abdul Zalim yesterday to enable the state election to be held. The Terengganu State Legislative Assembly has been dissolved 2 days before the mandate expires on 30th June. Terengganu Assembly Speaker Datuk Yahya Ali told Bernama that its representative had presented the dissolution notification letter to Terengganu EC Deputy Director Muhammad Salahuddin Saleh yesterday. From today, Terengganu will be administered by a caretaker government until a new government is formed after the state election. The 14th Kedah State Legislative Assembly is also officially dissolved today after obtaining the consent of the Sultan of Kedah Al-Aminul Karim Sultan Salahuddin Sultan Badli Shah last Sunday. With the dissolution of the State Assembly, the 5-year mandate has ended 6 days earlier than the deadline on 4th July. It also marks the end of Perikatan Nasional's administration in the state after taking over from Pakatan Harapan on 17th May 2020. Meanwhile, the Negeri Sembilan State Legislative Assembly will be dissolved on Saturday. Menteri Besar Datuk Seri Aminuddin Harun said the proposed date hadn't received the consent of Yang di-Pertuan Besar Tuanku Muhriz Ibni Almarhum Tuanku Munawir. Elaborating further on the matter, Datuk Seri Aminuddin said the dissolution was in line with the powers provided under the Negeri Sembilan Government Constitution 1959.
Saya mohon pihak pejabat yang berhormat Speaker Dewan Undangan Negeri dapat menyegerakan pemakluman rasmi tarikh pembubaran Dewan Undangan Negeri yang ke-14 kepada pihak Suruhanjaya Pilihan Raya Malaysia bagi memberi ruang pilihan raya negeri diadakan serentak dengan 5 negeri Dewan Undangan Negeri yang lain.
The Menteri Besar added that the state government administration will function as an interim government that operates as usual to ensure that the government service system remains efficient. Negeri Sembilan has 36 state assembly seats, where PH led by Datuk Seri Aminuddin controls 20 seats, while Barisan Nasional has 16 seats. Coming up next, a status of 134 job scams victims rescued in the Philippines being verified. The Foreign Affairs Ministry, through the Malaysian Embassy in Manila, is actively identifying and verifying the status of 134 individuals believed to be Malaysians rescued by the Philippines authorities from a job scam syndicate. In a statement today, Wisma Putra announced that they were among the 2,714 victims of the syndicate involved in job scam, forced labour and wrongful detention. The Malaysian Embassy in Manila confirmed that the local authorities in the Philippines conducted a raid on the Xinchuang Network Technology Incorporated Company and successfully rescued the victims of the criminal syndicate, who consisted of citizens from various countries. The victims, believed to be Malaysian citizens, will undergo investigation, documentation and deportation to Malaysia soon. It said any latest information regarding this matter will be provided periodically. Several documents related to D4 Division Intelligence Operations Criminal Records of the Criminal Investigation Department CID at the Perak Contingent Police Headquarters IPK were destroyed in the fire that broke out yesterday. Perak Police Chief Datuk Seri Muhammad Yusri Hassan Basri said he would seek the help of the Ipoh District Police Headquarters and other departments to retrieve documents that are needed for report purposes.
Ketua Jabatan Sertanian Negeri Perak telah bekerjasama dengan lain-lain bahagian. Selain daripada di 4, kita ada lain-lain seperti cawangan jenayah yang lain, dan juga begitu dengan pihak IPD Ipoh yang berjiran dengan kita akan meminta bantuan mereka untuk dari segi pelaporan, logistik yang diperlukan untuk membantu pihak di 4 ini untuk menjalankan tugas dan pun menyiapkan laporan-laporan seperti biasa.
Briefing reporters today, he added the fire forensics are still investigating into the fire and no one is allowed to enter the area. Meanwhile, Datuk Seri Muhammad Yusri said he will get the Public Works Department and Tenaga Nasional Berhad to work with the fire department to identify the level of safety in addition to preparing reports on the fire investigation. Yesterday, Perak IPK CID Operations Office at Jalan Iskandar Ipoh caught fire at about 3:15 p.m. The fire affected the CID office on the second floor, which suffered 40% damage. However, no one was injured. Police detained a husband and a wife and seized various of drugs estimated at 538,646 ringgit during a raid at Jalan Medan Ipoh on Monday. Perak Police Chief Datuk Seri Muhammad Yusri Hassan Basri said the couple aged 37 and 39 were picked up at 7:45 p.m. at their rented house. Police also conducted a follow-up raid at 10:25 p.m. the same day and found a base for packaging and storing the drugs in another house nearby. He said the total haul comprised 757 grams of ketamine, 1.08 kilogram of ecstasy pills, 4.32 kilogram of Ermin 5 pills, 1.02 kilograms of ecstasy powder and 3.427 kilograms of ecstasy powdered drink mix.
Terhadap kedua-dua suspek mendapati salah seorang daripada mereka positif dadah, iaitu lelaki jenis ketamin, dan hasil semakan mendapati kedua-dua mereka tidak mempunyai rekod kesalahan lampau.
He said both suspects have been involved in drug trafficking around the state for the past 3 years and the seized drugs could have been supplied to 40,000 addicts. The couple have been remanded for 7 days for investigation under Section 39B of the Dangerous Drugs Act 1952. In Johor, a drug syndicate using social media platforms to sell drugs has been busted in a series of raids around Johor Bahru last Sunday and Monday. Johor Deputy Police Chief Deputy Commissioner S.M. Kumar said 8 suspects were arrested and police seized various drugs with about 926,000 ringgit. Those arrested involved 3 women, one of whom a foreigner, and 5 men, all aged 19 to 57. 5 of these suspects tested positive for drugs and 4 have previous criminal records.
Ini adalah dengan menjadikan kereta dan rumah sewa sebagai stor penyimpanan dadah sebelum diedarkan. untuk pasaran tempatan dan telah aktif juga daripada Mac 2023.
All suspects have been remanded for 7 days to facilitate the investigation under Section 39B of the Dangerous Drugs Act 1952. Belarusian president confirms Wagner chief's arrival in Belarus. That and more coming up in our foreign segment. The death toll of a Russian missile attack on a restaurant in the eastern Ukraine city of Kramatorsk rose to at least 9. Emergency services said today that 3 children were among those killed and 56 were wounded. Emergency services posted images online of rescue teams sifting through rubble at the site by hand and shovel, while cranes and moved large blocks of concrete. Reuters was able to verify the location from the buildings, which matched aftermath video filmed by Reuters at the same location. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said in his nightly video message that the attacks showed that Russia deserved only one thing as a consequence of what it has done: defeat and a tribunal. Kramatorsk is a major city west of the front lines in Donetsk province and a likely key objective in any Russian advance westward, seeking to capture all of the region. Russia denies targeting civilian sites in what it has described as a special military operation since invading its neighbor in February 2022. Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko confirmed that Wagner chief Yevgeny Prigozhin has arrived in Belarus following an aborted military mutiny attempt over the weekend. On the same day, Russia claimed that the Wagner private military group will hand over its weapon and equipment to the Russian military. Lukashenko said Belarus will not build camps for the mercenary groups, but it will accommodate them if they so require. Currently, Wagner troops are still in Luhansk in the Donbas region. Under a deal brokered by Lukashenko, Prigozhin abandoned what he called a march of justice by thousands of his men into Moscow in exchange for safe passage to Belarus. The Wagner chief has said his actions were in protest of what he called attempts to disband the private military group and insisted he never intended to overthrow the government. The Russian Defense Ministry said that preparations are underway for the transfer of heavy military equipment from the Wagner private military company to the Russian armed forces. The Russian Federal Security Service FSB, meanwhile, has dropped its criminal case against the Wagner mercenary group. Viktor Zolotov, director of the National Guard of Russia, said it is possible foreign special services were involved in organizing the uprising of the Wagner paramilitary group. US President Joe Biden on Monday claimed that neither the United States nor NATO played a part in the insurrection. Heavy fighting erupted between the Sudanese army and the paramilitary rapid support forces RSF in the Sudanese capital of Khartoum on the eve of the Muslim festival of Eid al-Adha. Heavy artillery fire and gunshots were heard in parts of Khartoum, local witnesses said, after RSF commander Muhammad Hamdan Dagalo announced on Monday in an audio recording posted on Facebook a 2-day unilateral ceasefire ahead of the festival. The armed conflict in Sudan has so far shown no sign of abating since it began on 15 April, despite the ceasefire deals reached intermittently between the warring sides over the past 10 weeks. In addition to causing significant property damage and lootings in Khartoum, where foreign diplomatic missions have also been targeted, the conflict has also caused turmoil in other parts of Sudan, particularly in Darfur, a vast western region that borders Chad. In consideration of and respect for human rights law, the Rapid Support Forces Command decided to release 100 prisoners of the coup forces. The decision came in consideration of the Eid holiday circumstances and for humanitarian purposes. According to a report released by the International Organization for Migration, almost 2.8 million people have been uprooted by the conflict in Sudan, with about 2.15 million internally displaced and nearly 650,000 fleeing into neighboring countries, including Egypt, Chad, South Sudan, and the Central African Republic. Coming up in sports, KBS proud of national contingent's achievement at Special Olympic. Youth and Sports Minister Hannah Yeoh has expressed her pride at the success achieved by the national contingent at the Special Olympic Games in Berlin, Germany that ended on Sunday. Elaborating further, the minister emphasised that her ministry would continue to support persons with disabilities (PWD) to shine at the Games. The national squad is returning with 4 gold, 5 silver and 9 bronze medals, the country's best achievement so far in the history of its participation in the Games.
Malaysia semestinya bangga dengan pencapaian kontingen kita di Special Olympic kali ini dan saya berharap kerja keras yang mereka akan terus lakukan akan membuahkan hasil. Tahniah dan syabas kepada jurulatih dan ibu bapa yang telah banyak memberikan sokongan kepada mereka dan juga kumpulan pengiring dan doktor-doktor mereka yang bersama mereka.
The minister had earlier greeted the national contingent upon their arrival at the Kuala Lumpur International Airport last night. The 4 gold medals were won by Khairulzaim Lee Kai Lee, mixed doubles bowling, Nurasliza Muhammad Sapri shot put, Beverly Chin Lion women's individual bowling, and Nurul Shafinas Aishira Tengku Nur Muzafira unified pocher doubles. National track cycling ace Datuk Muhammad Azizul Hasni Awang has been appointed as the 100-plus brand ambassador for the next 2 years in his quest to be an Olympic champion. FNN Beverages Marketing Business Director Leong Wah Yin said the Dungon-born track cyclist is undoubtedly amongst the best track cyclists in the world. Elaborating further through a statement released, Leong said Datuk Muhammad Azizul Hasni is an inspiration to all Malaysians of all ages as his attitude, commitment, perseverance and determination to succeed at the highest levels is unparalleled. He also said the cyclist defied tremendous odds, which included a horrendous accident and a major surgery, and regained his place among the world's best. Meanwhile, Datuk Muhammad Azizul Hasni said he was grateful for the sponsorship and vowed to produce good results to show his appreciation. The Olympic silver medalist recently completed a sensational double at the Asian Track Cycling Championship in Nilai, winning the Keirin and the sprint gold medals. Following his stunning performances against the top riders in Asia, his world ranking rose to 3rd in the Keirin and 6th in the sprint, according to International Cycling Union (UCI). Datuk Muhammad Azizul Hasni joins badminton great Datuk Lee Chong Wei, men's singles Lee Zijia and Ng Si Yong, men's doubles world champions Aaron Chia So Wuyik, and women's doubles French Open champion Pelitan Mtina as the 100-plus brand ambassador. The national men's hockey squad, dubbed as Speedy Tiger, ended their playing tour of South Korea on a high after scoring a 2-1 win over the home team at the Jincheon National Training Center in Incheon recently. Though the Speedy Tigers managed only a slim victory, it was certainly a meaningful one, especially after registering 2 draws and a loss in 3 previous meetings during the tour. The first and third meetings between the two Asian powers on 21st and 25th June ended in draws, while the match on 23rd June saw the Speedy Tigers go down to the South Korean side. Muhammad Najib Abu Hassan was the toast of the Speedy Tigers in the match when he broke the deadlock in the 28th minute through a field goal to bring the smiles back on coach A. Arusevaraj's face, but the home team managed to equalize in the 36th minute. Undaunted by the equalizer, the Speedy Tigers continued to launch attack after attack in search of the winner, pinning the home side in their own half for long spells. It was from one of the raids that saw strikers Shami Irfan Suhaimi clip the heels of the South Koreans with yet another field goal in the 45th minute. Arul Selvaraj, in a video clip shared by the Malaysian Hockey Confederation MHC to media organisation, said he was satisfied with the performance of his boys in today's match, but admitted there were areas that need to be improved or rectified. The Speedy Tigers started the tour, which was part of the national squad's preparations for the Asian Champions Trophy tournament scheduled in Chennai, India from 3rd to 12 August. Brazil forward Martha is set to play at her 6th World Cup after being named in Pia Sundare's squad for the tournament starting on 20th July in Australia and New Zealand. 6-time FIFA World Player of the Year Marta will lead Brazil's quest for a first Women's World Cup title alongside other experienced players in Debina Tamiras and Andres Alves. However, the former US and Sweden coach does not guarantee that the all-time Women's World Cup top scorer will feature in the starting lineup.
Marta is the queen, Marta is the icon, and just to be around her is contagious. She is generous and she has a lot of energy, and I've said in a couple of interviews that one part in the game, the final pass, she's one of the best. So just being around her and have a chance to play with her, I think that is very important. Will she be in starting lineup? I don't know, not yet. And the good part of that is she will play the role I will give her. I'm 100% about that.
Brazil will start a training camp this week and face Chile in a farewell friendly on Sunday before travelling to Australia. And that wraps up Malaysia Tonight. A reminder of a top story: KPKM denies increase in price of local white rice. Before we go, we would like to extend our Hari Raya Aidiladha greetings to all those who are celebrating in the country. I'm Syuhaida Arifin, Malaysia Madani, tekad perpaduan penuhi harapan. Have a pleasant evening.